It's Sunday, March 15th, 2020. This is All About Your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. It was pretty tough to find some positive headlines given this last week. The coronavirus is dominating everything, so we're not going to ignore it. And that's going to be the focus for this week's conversation, but pulling in some other things that maybe are different, a little more perspective. So you already know about the turmoil that the coronavirus is causing in the markets and the economy and around the globe. And it may not seem like it right now, but we're going to make it through this. And we're going to have the opportunity to make it out through this on the other side, stronger, closer to our loved ones, and with a focus on the things that truly matter in our life. And I'm real excited for the conversations that are going to come out of this when it comes to financial planning and life planning once we get through this. I think we're going to be looking at more important things in our life and really what we value the most, as we have some things that we think are important taken away from us in the short term and realize that it's not as important as we once thought it was, and allow us to focus on what's most important, our family, who we'll be spending a lot of time with over the coming weeks. So let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and your portfolio. And the main one that's probably on your mind is the market. Last week was a wild ride. I think I saw that each day last week moved at least 4% from day to day. And we ended the week on a 10% up day after a 10% down day the day before. So some very volatile times, very wild movements, probably very scary. And this is where I lean on you talking to your financial advisor about what's the appropriate course of action for you to take. I'm still a believer in long-term investing. I'm a believer in having a portfolio tied to a financial plan and being positioned for your risk tolerance, what you're comfortable with, and also what your needs are. So for retirees, my clients, we moved to a more conservative portfolio using some metrics in the markets that moved us there earlier in the month. So the timing may have been great for us, but again, that there's reason behind it. It's done with intention. There are rules that are in place to help make these changes, and that's what I think helps out. For you younger people out there, I don't want to say this is a great opportunity, because we say that while people are losing money and things are going on, but because you have so much time ahead of you, continuing to be able to save if you're in that position is a great thing to do. So the markets are going to continue to be volatile. I think that's going to continue over the coming weeks as we get more information and as we see the more things shutting down. Part of what the market's doing is forecasting out 6, 9, 12 months in advance. And if we're having March Madness go away and the NBA shut down, and the next wave may be only essential businesses have to be open. So now we have small businesses, even large businesses, shutting down for periods of time. What does that mean to the business? What does that mean to the economy? That means the stocks probably have to come down in price, and we have to forecast in a recession that'll probably be coming. So I don't think the volatility is gone. We may not have hit the bottom. We may have, who knows? We won't know until the future and until later on. And there's a great blog post in the coronavirus mixtape that I put out that's in this week's mixtape from Ben Carlson, where he looks at recessions and markets and how long does it take to recover. There's actually 2 real good blog posts. And while the past does not predict the future, it just gives us something to have a little bit of perspective of what happened in 2008, how severe was it, how long did it take to recover, does every recession mean a stock market gets cut in half. He's got the numbers there from the past to allow you to take this information and digest it and maybe feel a little bit more comfortable about where you sit. Again, I think this reiterates the fact that planning ahead is always the best thing to do. That doesn't do us much good right now. I will argue that if we do have a recession coming down the road, then if you are still employed today, then looking at the budget, really bunkering down and foregoing some things to raise some cash to have a little bit of extra on hand may not be a bad idea. We don't want to wait until you lose your job to start doing it. Whatever time you might have left, if that is the outcome, start preparing today. So we have a little bit of forewarning that we can really tighten things up and try to bunker down and build some reserves in the short term if you're in a position to be able to do that. So let's talk about some of the headlines that are out there that are about really focusing on slowing the growth of this virus, because that's really the headline is the market, the economy, and then what's going to happen, how many people are going to get it. And there's 2 camps out there. And again, much like I've said in the past, I think somewhere it lives in the middle. End of the world scenario, this is just the flu. It's got to be somewhere in the middle, maybe tilted a little bit more over this way, bigger than the flu. But I think the biggest and most important thing to do is to try to eliminate as much opportunity for this thing to spread, which is why you see events being closed. Our schools are closed until April 13th. I'm preparing to move my business, working from home, eliminating the one-on-one in-person meetings. We're going to use phones, we're going to use Zoom to continue business going forward. Not that I'm not going to be working, but do it. There's no reason to put other people at risk. And that's kind of what I realized is when this first came out months ago, I thought, this is just going to be another SARS, another bird flu, something that'll blow over real quick, not a big deal. But as it continues to spread, it becomes more and more real. I realize it is something that we need to take some action to. And it's not so much my health that I worry about or my family's health. I worry a little bit about Roman. He has a little bit of asthma when he gets sick, so that puts him in, if he were to get this virus, in the camp that maybe it would be a little bit more severe for him. I worry more about who are the other people that I might impact. So I've canceled a trip to New York on the 24th. We've canceled spring break to New York at the beginning of April. And while that stinks, I think it's the appropriate thing to do because it's not just about me, it's about others. It's about my family, it's about my clients. And I don't want to take this virus and be putting it in front of them if I don't need to. So moving to a in-person when necessary type of environment, it stinks. It might be overreaction, but I think about the other side of the table. If we don't do these things, how much worse it could get, I think it's worth it. So at the end of the day, if we're being optimistic, we look back over time and say, you know what, the world really overreacted to this. It wasn't as big of a deal as we thought it was. It stinks that those events were canceled, but you know what, we all made it through okay. The economy will recover. That scenario, while it will be frustrating, we'll wish we would have done that, isn't a bad thing. So we gave up some things for a short period of time, but it was for the greater good. On the other side, we don't do these things, and it gets worse, and more people pass away, more people get sick. We stress the medical system to a level that it can't handle it. Then we wish we would have done those things. So I look at the opportunity cost of giving up some things, working from home for a month, or whatever it might be, still continuing to help clients and be there, but just not face to face. I look at that sacrifice as worth it so that we can make sure this doesn't get worse. I'm afraid that's going to be more strong measures that have to come through this from government officials, because you see the videos and the pictures of people at the bars yesterday for St. Patrick's Day. To me, that's just not a risk worth taking. I know we're young, we don't think we're going to get it, and if we do get it, we're going to be okay, and that's probably true. But who are you going to impact? What's the next person? There's a great piece in the Washington Post in the mixtape. If you don't read it, just look at the simulations. Read a little bit before each simulation and just see how this thing goes. They simulated a virus that is more contagious than the coronavirus, but obviously doesn't have all the real life scenarios in it. But just to show how, if you don't do anything, how fast it spreads. And if you have some quarantine, if you have people staying in, just to show how these things and separating ourselves from people for a period of time can actually slow this thing down, which I think is what we all want. The quicker we get past this, the better it's going to be for all of us. The economy will come back, the stock market will come back, jobs will come back, but we need to get through this quickly. And I think, from everything that I've read and what I'm seeing, the best way to quickly get through this is to kind of slow things down. And the final thing I want to talk about is this slowdown, the not having kids at school for a month, not having sports, not having a lot to do and being more inside, or if you have nice weather, getting out for a walk. That gives us time, and time is something that we all wish we had more of. Well, now we're giving the gift of being forced to have more time with less to do because we have less things out there running around going doing. So what are you going to do with this time? I'm working on a blog post about how to make lemonade. Life is giving us lemons, so what do we do with this time? What do we do with these lemons? How do we make lemonade out of this scenario? One of them is we are doing family workouts in the basement, which is time for me to go do now. So I know this was not the normal week in review, but really the whole week in review was consumed by the coronavirus. So we briefly talked about the market, talked about how I think sticking with your plan, having a diversified portfolio, shifting things ahead of time if you have those measures in place for like retirees, right? Having income needs makes sense, but not reacting to the markets, because you could have reacted on Thursday and you would have missed out on Friday. There's going to be a lot of that going on. So stick to your plan. Don't react to the markets is probably a good game plan going forward. And then really start to think about what are the important things in life. Is it worth doing to do something to put others at risk? And let's get through this. Better, stronger, and having more time for family and maybe more appreciation for the things that matter the most. So I'll get off my soapbox a little bit. I don't do that too often. But just what I've been thinking about as I look at headlines and process what I need to be doing for clients, what I need to be doing for my family, and just really looking at what opportunities come out of this. I think we're all going to come out of this better, like I said early on. So with that, I'm going to go downstairs, work out with the boys, Have a great week. I'll be back Friday, or I'll be back on Sunday next week with this next week in review with hopefully some good news and some things to look optimistically going forward. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next episode.